Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how
He's alive!
Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Rob. He is the co-host at Tales, Trails, and Taverns. He has some interesting stories. It was a fucking phenomenal conversation. I met this guy at when we went to the Conjuring House. Him and Joe, both the hosts of Tales, Trails, and Taverns, where they hike the trails. They tell the tales, hike the trails, and get a cold pint at the local tavern. Um, First of all, their podcast is phenomenal, and it was awesome getting the chance to meet them both. And Joe actually recommended Rob coming on the podcast a while ago, and we were finally able to do it. So happy to do so. Rob has some interesting stories. His daughter seems to have some gifts that is pretty interesting, and she is probably going to end up with more stories within the next couple of years. So, um, yeah, urban exploration, his time in Iraq when he was a Marine. Um, yeah, it was an awesome conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. I like Rob a lot. So, but quick shout out to the sponsor, Flavors of the Forest, Bigfoot's Breath, Garlic Dust. Get yourself some if you haven't already. It's amazing. It's way better than any garlic powder that you're gonna get out of the store, I promise. I say it every time. Matt and Nelson are two phenomenal dudes, and I'm so happy to be sponsored by them. They're great, and Nelson actually wants my one of my hot sauces at the restaurant that he works at, and I still haven't gotten it to him. I'm still trying because I don't know how to. Currently I don't know how to ship bulk, but I think I got it figured out. So hopefully I can send that out to him in the next couple of weeks. That'd be great. Um, yeah. So yeah, go check them out. flavorsforest.com/weird. Get yourself some bottles. It's Yeah, you won't be disappointed. I promise. I promise. Um, Weird Java in the morning every Sunday morning. 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. So check that out if you're interested. That is we do news, this day in history, shit we see on TikTok, and a missing persons alert that is done by my good friends Heather and Rachel over at Like Mother Like Murder podcast. Their podcast is fantastic as well. I highly recommend it. So anywho, that's pretty much all I have to say to you guys today. You should definitely check out Tales, Trails, and Taverns as well. Again, Rob and Joe are doing amazing shit over there. Love their podcast. But if you guys like today's episode or any of my other episodes, please like, follow, share, subscribe. That is the best way to support the show. Also, leaving a rating and a review is also helpful. If your podcatcher doesn't allow you to leave a review, please consider doing so on the website where the weird ones are, podcast.com. That's where you can get the merch, you can get the hot sauce, you can get the coffee, and soon you'll be able to get the supplements. So drop a line in there if you're interested. If not, check out the website. I feature a podcast of the month every month, and it's a good way to, hear about other podcasts that you haven't heard about. I also do a book of the month, which I need to change. So actually, I need to change both the podcast of the month and the book of the month because I set them both in October. So I'll just wait until December, I guess, to switch that. So if you're interested in supporting me another way, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/weirdos only. You get a free coffee mug, you get early access to the shows, and you get story time. Story time I haven't done in a while. That's a once, but I haven't done it in like 2 months. But it's based around true crime and stuff, just telling a story that maybe you guys got to figure out who the killer is, and I don't reveal who it is until the end. So it's a lot of fun to do. It's just research intense. So if that piques your interest, yeah, it's only $5 a month. Pretty inexpensive. I wish I've considered restarting it, redoing it so I can drop the price because I don't feel like I'm worth that much. But I don't know. You get a free coffee mug. A coffee mug is a lot more expensive than $5 a month, to be honest with you, because the coffee mug's like $10. But so it's like I'm giving you 2 months of your money back, kind of. But oh well, I'm not very good at marketing myself, and that's okay. Again, I'm not here to make money. I'm here for the conversations. I love these conversations, and I would be here regardless of how many listeners I have. I still don't even know. So, and that's totally fine with me. So, yeah, the more reviews I get, the more I would know, I feel like. But it is what it is. So, I think officially that's all. But yeah, go check out the coffee. The coffee is really yummy. They don't ship out as, I think, because of food, like we're not allowed to ship food out of the country. Something like that. There's some stipulation about that. But it's weird because the coffee company anyways, the coffee company gets their beans out of South and Central America, and then they roast them in Texas and they ship out from Texas. So, um, but anyways, I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. Rob is a fantastic dude. I really enjoyed it a lot. So, I'll stop jabbering into your ear, and let's fucking get into this, shall we? Oh, also, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. There's so many other podcasts that you could be listening to, so I'm extremely grateful that you listen to mine. It does mean a lot. It goes a long way for me personally. So thanks for being here. Also, happy motherfucking Thanksgiving to everybody in the US. I hope you guys are, you know, getting fat and sassy for the winter. I hope you're spending time with loved ones as you should. I mean, the founding of Thanksgiving's kind of fucked up, but the meaning behind it that we have today is means a lot. I mean, yeah. So, I hope you guys are safe and full. All right, let's get into it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get
weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird, get weird.
Hey y'all, this is Chelsea Deanne from Station 59, and you are listening to Kevin on Where the Weird Ones Are.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. So happy to have you here. Today we have one half of Tales, Trails, and Taverns, Rob. Man, how's it going, dude? We're having a little trouble with his camera right now, but
Yeah.
it's all right.
2 seconds. Sorry. I apologize.
You're
That'll
good,
work.
man.
That should work. Yeah, that should work.
Uh,
Okay.
all right, cool.
I am doing good,
For
brother.
the Nice, man. So happy to finally be able to do this with you. I wanted to do it a while ago. So we went to the Conjuring house together, and then literally that same week, Joe and I had already scheduled him to be on the show. And when he was on, he was like, "You got to talk to Rob." I was like, "I'm gonna," but and then it just took me a long time to ask because dude, I was booked up for so long, but I've been wanting to do this, and I'm glad that we have been able to do this, and I'm so happy that you're giving us some of your time tonight, so I appreciate it, man.
Brother, the pleasure is all mine. Like that's so Joe. Like Joe's just a wicked giving person, so
He is,
I can just picture him saying that. That's cool as fuck.
yeah. So, for everybody listening that's not familiar, if they didn't listen to Joe's episode and all that, if you don't mind letting them know about your podcast and that you do with Joe and where they can find you and the show.
All right, so the name of the podcast is Tales, Trails, and Taverns. You can find us for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We search out anything haunted, spooky, or unusual. It could be like our recent episode. Joe did Hell Hollow Loop, which is a very haunted uh, forest in Connecticut. Sometimes we do like I do a lot of urban exploration at like abandoned mental asylums and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, and then we check out haunted taverns too. Um, Anything like cool, spooky, unusual that deals with the paranormal or anything like that, we're into. Um, as Joe opens up every podcast, we hike the trails, tell the tales, and then grab a pint at the local tavern. We came up with that concept because every podcast we do, we physically go to the place. So like we'll never do a podcast on a place where we didn't actually go. So the whole premises of the podcast is find a cool and haunted spot, go there, get a vibe for it, and then do your research later, and then kind of like connect the dots later. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. That's a cool concept, to be honest with you. It's pretty dope because
Yeah, I mean, like, go
it's
go on.
it's easy to research anything, but to like actually physically be there and experience it is a whole different thing.
Oh, and then like, I mean, it's a different thing, and not only that, brother. It's like say I'm at an abandoned tuberculosis hospital, right?
Yeah.
Which happened to me about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. The entire time we were there, we just kept hearing footsteps and doors open, close, open, close. I was with my daughter on that one. It was called Cedar Crest Hospital in Newington, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And it operated from 1910 to 2010. And
Oh.
one of the things that I read after doing that urban exploration with my daughter was it's very common to hear footsteps and doors opening and closing. So like just little things like that. Not only that too, it's like we like we'll look into a place and sometimes we'll find like known ghosts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my daughter, I don't know if because you've listened to the episodes, right?
Yes.
She's kind of like a medium a little bit, and every now and then she'll talk to spirits and stuff, and then like you go back and you're like, holy shit, like she was talking to that spirit. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if one of my kids were able to do what she does, I feel like I'd run away all the time. And I would just be like, "You're not my kid." No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do
Oh my God.
that.
Brother, it is fucking creepy sometimes.
I I bet, man. My daughter one time, when she was like 5, maybe 6. I was putting her to bed and I had her head was on my shoulder and I was just starting to put her down onto her bed and she looks up at the ceiling and she's like, "Don't let the cat get me." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "The cat is right there." I'm like, "Where?" And she's like, "Right there." And freaking, I'm like, "There's no cat in here. I don't know what you're talking about." I was scared. I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So I just picked her
Yeah.
back up and I ran out of her bedroom. I was like, "I don't know what it is. There's a cat in there, I guess. I don't know." But that was probably the most creepiest thing that any of my kids have done. But so does
Hey,
she like she works out her abilities and stuff?
um, sometimes they want to talk. So this is like I've tried to get to the method to her madness.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes she'll say they just want me to see them and then that's it. Or
Uh-huh.
sometimes I can just feel their presence. Like I don't actually see them, but I know like there's an aura there or there's like a
Mhm.
whatever. And some of them will actually talk to her. Like,
Wow.
yeah. Um, we did it all depends. And
Yeah.
she's had a couple negative entities come across her. I want to say maybe 2, 3 times. Those are always the creepiest because it's like
Yeah.
I don't see it, but I see my daughter is kind of petrified a little bit, but she
Yeah.
reels it in and she'll tell me like, this is the vibe was here isn't good. The energy is bad. It doesn't have good intentions. Let's get out of here. And like
Right.
when she tells me that, I don't fuck around. I get out. Like one example of that was the Doc Mills Pond episode. Um, I took her for a hike, and I had hiked that trail maybe 2, 3 days prior. She had never been on that trail before ever. This is in the Freetown State Forest too, so
Yeah.
pretty epic place.
Yes.
It happens to be 15 minutes from my house, dude. It's right in my
That
backyard.
that's cool. That's actually pretty cool.
So we were hiking this, and this was, I want to say 2020, and I had hiked it a few days prior, that trail, and I had stopped on the bridge that crosses over a pond, and I took a piss because I had to pee like crazy. And then I just kept on hiking. So fast forward like 3, 4 days later, I got my daughter, it's the weekend, and we were trying to find the pet cemetery in the Freetown State Forest. Couldn't fucking find it. Um, we got frustrated, so it's just like, let's go on this hike. I know this cool little hike. It goes over a nice pond, this, that. And we were hiking it, and as soon as we're coming up on the pond, I noticed my kid is like on the back of my feet, like literally kicking the back of my heels. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, there's something watching us. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And she's like, well, it definitely ain't human. Like, okay, so is it like a demon? And she's like, yeah, you could say that. And then like we're walking while she's telling me this, and we go over the bridge, and I'm like, is it still there? And she's like, yeah, but it's kind of evading, it's leaving at this point. We're passing it. And I said, did it say anything to you? And she says, well, it knew my name. So it called my name out loud. Like, that's fucking creepy, right? We're still walking now, too. I said, did it say anything else? She said, well, it told me its name. And I said, stupidly, I said this. I said, well, what's its name? And she said, oh, Dad, you never say a demon's name out loud. That's how you summon it. I was like, "Oh." And she's right, too. Like, I had forgot, you know what I mean? In the moment. And then the final thing that was like the trifecta was like, did it say anything else? And she says, yeah. It said that if you ever effing pee off that bridge again, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, who, me? She's like, yeah, I was talking about you. And I had not told my daughter at all that I, 4 days prior, was hiking and took a piss off that bridge. So,
What the hell? Oh
so,
my! Did you run? Did
dude,
you
yeah,
run?
we were not run, but we were, at that point, we were fucking hauling ass
I
out of
would have
there.
fucking ran so fast. I probably would have left her there and be like, "Stop."
So
Oh my
that's
goodness gracious.
probably the creepiest that she's had with a negative entity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Do you have her do like protection prayers or anything like that?
Um, I wear my gold chain and my gold cross, the same one that I wore at the Conjuring House.
Yeah.
I'm not super religious, but I'm like everyone else where I live, born and raised Roman Catholic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my daughter has been baptized. She goes to CCD once a week. So we kind of like because a lot of the urban exploration videos where we go to abandoned mental hospitals and abandoned tuberculosis, she comes with me. She loves that
Yeah.
shit. And we just kind of, we go there. We go there. We say the Lord's Prayer before we go there, and then we just kind of say out loud, we understand that we're entering a place where there may be like uh, souls that feel um, they've been jousted in life, or they're bitter souls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These people didn't live great lives, and we just let them know that we come there in peace. We're not there to break anything. We're not there to vandalize. We're not there to summon any spirits or anything. We're just coming in peace and leaving in peace. And
Nice.
that's, I mean, so I guess my faith and her faith that's kind of how we shield ourselves. We say a prayer before we go in, we come out, we say a prayer, and that's just how we take it. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's pretty cool too that, you guys have something that you both enjoy doing together as well, you know.
She loves
I
it.
think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. Um, it's, so I know she wanted to go to the Conjuring house. What were your expectations before getting to the Conjuring house?
Well, I didn't know it was going to be so fucking hot. I
I
mean, good,
know, right? That was
dude. That was like
fucking hot.
the hottest fucking night of the summer, and we're in this
I
fucking old ass house with no air conditioning at all, dude.
hmm Yeah, that
But
was the most shitty part of the entire thing. Oh, you were actually down in the basement when I did the Estes
the
thing.
the final EVP, right?
Yeah, it was me, you, and Scott. Scott was asking the questions, and you were
I
you
was
were
just
there.
sitting in the
Yeah,
background.
Yeah,
I think you
everybody
guys
else
like
left.
contacted a Native American spirit or something,
Yeah, I think
right?
so. Yeah, I've told the story a couple of times because and for some I was like, I feel like there was somebody else there. Now that you're sitting here in front of me, I was like, it was you, it was Rob.
Yeah, I was kind of just sitting there and listening and hold on one second.
Yeah.
My dog has this toy that makes a real annoying sound. She's just gonna keep playing with it. So
I got you.
I'm right back. But yeah, I was there. That was cool and creepy. Um, Definitely feels like we contacted some form of a spirit.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that was like pretty much for me anyway, that was pretty much the only time I really got anything.
when I first
So
walked
it
in there,
was
dude, I'll be honest, when I first walked in there was a weird feeling.
right. Yeah, I got that feeling too.
I was like, something weird about this house. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it just wasn't active that night, I guess. Like we tried.
We
I mean,
did
we were there till what, like almost 5 in the morning?
something like that. I remember. I just remember I was so exhausted. I fell asleep on the couch,
Oh my
and then
God.
Scott's like, it's not that bad when you can fall asleep on the couch. I was like, well, a lot of people fall asleep in the bed on the beds up there. They say that you can sleep there, just don't fuck with anything. So, but yeah, that frickin' place was scorching hot.
Oh my
We could
God.
have. I wish we would have went a little bit sooner, but you
You
know,
you
it,
know, I even missed the podcast too because I guess Joe said Scott went live in the basement,
yeah.
but I was in my truck blasting my AC.
I don't
I
think
I
they ever used that audio for the podcast either. Um, but I mean,
I mean,
it's their thing, so I don't. I mean, maybe it might not have ended up. It might ended up. Bleh, it might not have worked. You know what I mean? Like they might not have been able to catch the recording when we record because we were they. I mean, when a place is active, you're gonna have issues with technology for sure,
oh
and
yeah,
there was a lot of technology issues that night. My phone
that's true.
randomly died. My phone was freaking full when we got there, and I had to keep plugging it into to the outlet into the charger, and I'm like, why the fuck isn't this thing staying fucking charged? And it was only when I
Yeah,
was inside. Once I was outside, it was fine.
yeah. Because remember we all tried to go live on Instagram,
Yeah, that was
and
a
like
freaking pain in the ass.
then something happened, and it just we couldn't do it.
Yeah. Um, I think everybody that was in the house couldn't get a connection, or anybody
No,
in the basement couldn't get a connection.
I was in the library and I couldn't get a connection.
That's right too. Yeah, you're right. That was where I felt weird. When we first walked in, I felt really, really fucking weird standing next to that open door to the library.
Mm-hmm.
I got like
Yep.
wicked lightheaded as she was talking, but I was expecting more of a show. But I guess she's not doing a very good job with the houses from what I'm hearing from Jason Hawes and
Yeah.
all that stuff, all them.
Excuse me. There's a lot of interesting. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a lot of interesting things happening at the Conjuring house right now.
Uh, for sure, for sure.
Y-
So I did want to ask you,
Fire away.
um, what was it that really got you interested in the urban exploring and the paranormal and all that?
Oh my God, dude. It's crazy how this whole journey has been a really crazy thing.
Mm,
Do you want me to? to keep it short or go as long as like?
As long as you feel necessary, bud.
Okay, bro. Because I don't want to feel like I'm talking too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I've been fascinated by this shit since I was a little kid. Like, growing up, do you remember the show Sightings?
Yes,
Okay,
I
so
do. Yep.
I loved Sightings. I loved Unsolved Mysteries. Um, anything to do with the paranormal, I was obsessed with. As a kid, like I remember being in the car with my father, and we would like see an old graveyard in like a random town that we're just passing through, and I'd be like, "Oh, there's a graveyard," and he'd like pull over the car, and we'd walk around for like 10, 15 minutes and just like looking at the old gravestones. Um, I grew up in Somerset, Mass, which is a stone throw away from Fall River, Mass. So like in the 90s, Lizzie Borden's house was abandoned back then. It was just an old, rundown three family rental unit, and it's funny because me and my dad a couple of times we'd go into the city, and we just because you could sneak right in right through the basement windows, and we used to just wander around in Lizzie Borden's house before the new owners bought it in 2000 and like restored it to what its original form now.
Yeah.
So there was that. So I was super into that stuff. Um, I guess also too, I used to sleepwalk when I was a kid.
No
From
shit.
what my parents told me, I used to do that. I had no recollection of it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And
Oh,
they
okay.
said I would say the weirdest shit when I was sleepwalking, like I'd been abducted by aliens, and I saw Auntie Mary Lou, which was my mom's sister that died of like a freak heart attack when she was 36, when I was really young. So like,
Mm.
yeah, I would say the weirdest, and they would tell me the next morning, like, yeah, you were sleepwalking again, and found you in the bathroom, and you were said you were talking to Aunt Mary Lou, or you were abducted by aliens. Like, it was just wacky, you know? So I always had a like yeah, and even as I got older too, I watched like a million episodes of A Haunting. I love that show,
Yeah, that's
and
a good
Ghost
show
Hunters.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Um.
right there with you. I will say real quick though, Rob, not it has a little bit to do with what you talk about. I didn't sleepwalk or anything, but I still to this day talk in my sleep a lot. And if anybody is listening, they'll tell me what I say, and I can't. The only one that sticks out to me was when I was 11 years old. My stepbrother, the next morning, he told me, he said, "You said 1,000 pounds of pencils in your sleep last night," and I was like, "What?" He's like, I don't know what the fuck you need that many pencils for, but apparently it was very important, and you needed 1,000 pounds of pencil. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, it has nothing to do with like anything ghostly or anything like that, but it's the funniest freaking thing, and I have that memory of him telling me that. But I mean, every other story of people telling me what I said in my sleep is never really anything that profound, like that weird enough to set in my mind. It's always something like just mediocre kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell that story real quick while you were on the topic before you moved on. So
Well, I mean,
uh,
dude, I will say this. I did one of the funniest episodes when I sleepwalked was Christ, I was probably same age, like 9 or 10. And apparently, my sister told me about it the next day. I sleepwalked into her bedroom, and my sister Paula. I was like, Paula. She's like, what? And I'm like, Paula, what? And I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she's like, so go then. And she's laying in her bed, right? And I'm
yeah.
like, well, then get off the damn toilet. So, for some weird reason, while I'm sleepwalking, I end up in my sister's room, and I think her bed is the toilet. I don't. That one was they roasted me. My family roasted me for quite a few months slash years over that one. They thought that one was funny.
That is pretty funny. It would have been even more funny if you went to the bathroom on her. Oh man, I would. I mean, my siblings probably would have, um, gave me shit about it, but I would have been like, well, it was your bed. You had to sleep in it, something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good one. That's funny.
And then I mean, thanks. That was yeah. Like I said, my family roasted me good for like years
I'm
after
sure.
that one.
I'm sure.
So oddly enough, um, fast forward to about a little less than a year ago. So what happened was, did Joe tell you how like he first started out with a podcast called Reserve Element, and it was all about old military stories?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So Joe started this podcast 2 years and change ago called Reserve Element. I was actually on one of the episodes. It was me, Joe, and our friend Rob Lewis. We all served in Iraq together in '07. We did this like St. Patrick's Day 5K, right? And then we went back to my friend Rob Lewis's house, and we had beers and drinks, and we shot the shit about Iraq for like fucking an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. And then I remember I was walking so like also too I knew Joe. Joe had moved to North Carolina for a while, but then he had came back to Rhode Island, so he wasn't that far away. And I knew Joe was into hiking because he would always post shit on Facebook of like him hiking this trail or hiking that trail. So like I
Yeah.
reached out to him one time and I'm like, hey man, like, we should go hiking together. And he came up from Rhode Island once and we did the Freetown State Forest. I showed him like where the pet cemetery was, where Mary Lou Aruta's tree was, where one of Carl Drew, he was like a devil worshiper, ran a satanic cult. Like one of his torture shacks were, the Sonnet Ledge, all that shit. And Joe ended up turning that into an episode, which I didn't even know. That was before I was on his podcast, like the co-host.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then we hiked Mount Crawford in New Hampshire. That was a cool experience. Me and him hiked a pretty dope mountain in the Crawford Notch. So it was just random one day, and I was like, I hit him out of the blue, and I was like, hey man, like, you know, I was, my mind was going, I'm like, man, we should do another podcast, like, the reserve element, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, actually, he's like, I've kind of stepped away from that and I'm working on this new thing. And that's when he pitched me how he'd been doing Tales, Trails, and Taverns and like how it's about haunted and spooky places and going there and experiencing it. I'm like, that's dope as fuck. And I'm walking my dog at this time. So I'm talking to him, and I start telling him stories like, all right, this happened to me once in the Freetown State Forest. This happened to me once when I was hiking Mount Tecumseh. I rattled off like 3 or 4 things, and he's like, dude, literally, you just came up with like 4 episodes for me. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, he's like, would you like to and then he kind of pitched it like, would you like to record next week with me? I record on Wednesday nights. And I said, sure. And I think the first episode I ever did was the Doc Mills Pond, the incident with my daughter and the demon. So got on it, said my story, cool. And then from there on out, I was like, dude, when you record, like, I'm in. Like, this is cool as fuck. Like, this is cool. It's fun. I love it. It's interesting to me. Like I said, the paranormal's always been very interesting to me. So, like, it kind of just started as I was reaching out to him, seeing if he was going to do something with the reserve element, and then he told me about Tales, Trails, and Taverns, and I'm like, hey, that's even fucking cooler than fucking the other thing.
Yeah.
So he recorded me, and you know, since then we've been off to the races, and I want to say that was January of last year. So this
Oh wow.
January it'll be, yeah, it'll be this January will be. He started it in the summer of 2023, I believe,
Oh
and this
really?
January, yeah,
Okay.
somewhere around there. He used to. I know. I think he said he had a blog that he used to do
Yes.
about haunted places that he experienced in North Carolina.
Yep.
But the actual like Tales, Trails, and Taverns, I feel like it's because we did a special 1 year anniversary episode. I think it was either late July or August to celebrate the 1 year mark. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as far as me being the co-host, it's January will be 1 year for me
Oh, okay. That's cool because
with
I
with
didn't.
with Joe. It's always Joe's baby. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm so grateful to be on this wild wacky ride that fuck man, whatever. I love doing it.
Well, that's cool, man. You guys, like I said, you guys do a really good job, and
Thank you.
you can tell you guys are close too. Like you can tell the
Oh yeah.
mutual respect is there, which is really
What's
cool.
what's crazy too, Kev? It's like I knew Joe for years. I went to
Hmm.
Iraq with him. Served in the Marine. Like I think he got out 2 years before I did because I got out in 2011. He got out in '09, and then he went down to North Carolina, and he was in the reserves for a little bit down in North Carolina, but then he ended up getting out. And what's wacky is, dude, it's like all these years I knew him, thousands of hours of time that I spent with him. Me and him never had a conversation about the paranormal when I was in the Marines with him.
Really?
But yeah, but then when once we got out, there was that, and he started the Tales, Trails, and Taverns, and I'm like, wow, there's a common denominator there now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I never knew
Yeah.
existed between me and him.
That's dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah,
Um, did you personally did you ever experience anything that you could say paranormal in Iraq?
not in Iraq, no,
No, in Iraq.
not that I can think of. I mean, I had moments where I drove for maybe 2, 3 days straight, and I was hallucinating, seeing things that weren't there.
Yeah,
Like I'd
I
be
could say
driving, and
yeah,
I.
yeah, that's happened to me. So I was there was one night I was like 22, 23, and I was driving home late. It was super late, and I could have sworn I saw a black dog in the middle of the road, and I literally came to a complete stop. And I'm like, where'd that fucking dog go? And I'm looking around. And like, I'm lucky that there wasn't anybody like right behind me, because I would have just got smashed. But I looked for the dog and I was like, I must have been seeing things. And so I just
When you're
continued
sleep
going on just really slow.
when you're fucking sleep deprived, man, and you're driving, you see the wackiest things that aren't. I thought I saw an elephant once on the side of the street. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah, dude.
And
I will. What was that, Kev?
I was just gonna say, and I feel like Iraq would probably be the place to see an elephant on the side of the road, to be honest.
I don't think they're native to Iraq, but
No, but I
I.
wouldn't put it past them to have one. You know
They
what I mean?
might.
I mean, I don't know.
I will say this though. Okay, so um, you did say, did I experience anything paranormal? I didn't, but I had weird vibes about a place.
Okay.
So the base that me and Joe were in and the rest of our company was called Al Assad, which was it's the second biggest base in Iraq. It's smack dab in the center of the West Ali Anbar province. It's about an hour away from the city of Haditha. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Haditha, before.
No, I haven't.
Maybe 2 hours away from Fallujah. So it's a massive fucking military base. And it was actually Saddam's military base before we went there in 03 and we defeated them and overtook the base. So there was a lot of remnants of like, there was pictures of Saddam like painted on walls and stuff, and murals, and a lot of like Arabic writing and like stuff with the Saddam's Iraqi army. The soccer field in that place, it was a big soccer stadium. They actually turned the stadium where people sit and where people, it was a bunch of like Iraqis slinging like candles or like hookah bongs or bootleg DVDs. Like that's how they worked that out.
It was
But you
like a
could
flea
walk.
market.
Yeah, it was like a flea market
Yeah,
when we were back on base. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The soccer field always creeped me out because we were told the story, and it's actually true, believe it or not. So when that was an actual Iraqi air base back in the 80s, and this was right after the war that Iraq had with Iran, that
Hmm.
Iraq had won. There was a soccer game between the Iraqi national soccer team and the Iranian national soccer team.
Oh boy.
Okay. And this is after the war too, right? The
Hmm.
Iraqi national soccer team lost 3-1 in the soccer game. Saddam was there present for the game. When the game was over, he ordered his soldiers to kill every single player on the Iraqi national soccer team, and not only kill them, but he beheaded all of them, or his soldiers beheaded all of them
Jeez.
right on that field.
Talk about a sore
So
sport. Holy cow.
yeah, he was livid to say the least. He literally had the entire team executed for losing.
Yeah.
So
They did a
had I
lot.
maybe spent a little more time around the soccer field, maybe I would have saw some more stuff. But it always had a weird vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could feel that. I could see that. Mm. Yeah, Saddam was a gross, friggin' cruel
Oh,
person.
he was a
his sons were the same too.
yep,
So,
total dictator.
absolutely, in every meaning of the word.
Yep.
Um, so I want to go back to to your daughter real quick.
Far away.
When did you realize that she had these gifts?
Personally, it wasn't me first. It was my ex-wife.
Okay.
So, what happened was my daughter was born, and when my daughter was a year old, me and her mom got a divorce.
Yeah.
Um, we were together 6 years. Dude, I was 20 years old when I got married. You know what I mean? She was
Yeah.
22. I left for Iraq like 6 weeks after I got married. Like it was just crazy. We got divorced. Me and my ex ended up selling our house. I went to go live in an apartment in Dartmouth, and my ex moved to an apartment in New Bedford. And it's one of those apartment. It's called the Wamsuta Mills, and it's an old factory that they turned into apartments.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, back in the 1860s, 1870s, this place was a hustling and bustling a factory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of people had died in factory accidents in that building. And my ex-wife told me when she was about 3.5, 4 years old, that she would wake up and she would hear my daughter talking and sometimes giggling and laughing. And my ex would go inside her bedroom and say, "Who are you talking to?" And she'd be like, "Oh, the man right there. Like, you don't see him?" And my ex is like looking, and there's like nobody in the room. And she's like, "What man?" "That man right there. Like, he's playing with me." And she'd have her toys all like spread out on the floor. And so like that was kind of the beginning of it. And then she told my ex one story that was very elaborate, that this ghost named Richard used to visit her almost every night. And he liked my daughter and he liked to play with her. And he told her that he got crushed in a machine and he was killed there. And he told her that he was hiding from the supervisor named Paul, who was a very, very mean man, who also died in the factory.
Oh
That,
shit.
yeah. So there was that story once. And
Oh,
you know, it's weird, man, because I look back. So that was kind of the beginning of it, like when she was
yeah.
3.5, 4 years old. She was talking to spirits at night. My ex-wife would be like creeped the fuck out about it.
I would have too. I don't blame her. I would have been so scared.
But in all honesty, it's funny because you know sometimes things happen and you don't, at the moment you're not like putting two and two together, but then
Yeah.
you think
Yeah,
back
all the
on it and
time.
you're like, that's fucking bizarre. So I remember I had an apartment in Dartmouth, and sometimes my ex-wife would drop my daughter off at her grandmother's house in Somerset.
Yeah.
And I would pick, this was back when I used to work like a 2 to 10 shift as a night custodian at an elementary school. So I would pick her up from like, I don't know, 9 a.m. and then I would drop her back off at her grandma's like 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And instead of going all the way the heck back to Dartmouth, which is like 25, 30 minutes from Somerset, right? I would just stay in the area because my mom's house is in Somerset, whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm.
I remember holding my daughter and she'd be like 1.5, 2 years old. So she's not really fully talking yet, but she's just saying things. And I can remember holding her and like walking through. My mother has a gazillion pictures in her house, tons of pictures. And I remember walking past a family photo. Keep in mind, my grandfather died in 2002, so my daughter's never seen him. And I can remember walking and like my daughter would like point at a picture and like point at my grandfather. And she did that like 3 or 4 times, just like randomly with a binky in her mouth. And she's just like pointing on the picture like that, poking at my grandfather.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think anything about it back then, but knowing what
Yeah.
I know now, maybe he had visited her at some
It's a
point in
good
time.
yeah, it's a good possibility.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was just recognizing the face.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
everybody else in that family portrait was alive except my
It-
grandfather. And for her to
Yeah.
just randomly point at his picture was very bizarre. I didn't think
Mm.
much about it at the time, but like looking back now, seeing how like, you know, active she is with the paranormal, I'm like, okay, well that kind of all adds up now.
I kind of wish she came to the Conjuring house now. I feel like I feel like maybe we could have got some action.
She would have loved it.
I'm sure she would have. Um, so,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead. Are you not done?
No. I mean, as far as my daughter seeing the paranormal,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Okay. Can
I
you?
saw a ghost.
What?
What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask you if you can recall your first experience.
Oh God. I remember, honest to God, the first time I had ever actually seen a ghost was about 4 or 5 months ago when I was at
Really?
like an actual apparition, like
Yeah.
a human, like this looks like a human being, and I do
Uh-huh.
like a 1-2, and the fucker's gone. Right?
Oh
It
shit.
was Yeah, I was at Norwich State Hospital in
Uh-huh.
Connecticut, the mental
Yep.
asylum. So I was with my buddy, and the first time I'd went there. I only thought it was like 4 buildings, including the admin building. And then when I started reaching out, have you ever heard of Haunted Raven?
No, I don't think so.
All right, well, he was at Paracon, and I posted a bunch of pictures, and he's like, "Oh, you missed this building, you missed that building." So I started doing my homework more and more on fucking Norwich State Hospital, and I'm like, dude, it's not just these 4 buildings inside the fencing. There's the lipid building on the other side, and then if you go across the street, there's like the nurses' ward, and then there's like a men's ward and a woman's ward, and then if you go like a mile up the street is like the orphanage that they turned into like the Bryant building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was, I want to say, back in like June. Me and my buddy went there, and I says, "Look, I'm gonna bring you to the places where I've already seen, and then there's like 4 other buildings that I want to hit up." And he was like, "Whatever, I don't care. We got all day." You know what I mean? So we're exploring. I show him the first 4 that I know. Then we go in a lipid building. That building was super creepy because that was the building where they did the lobotomies and the electroshock therapy and the fucking the forced sterilizations. That building had a weird vibe to it. Then we crossed the street. The nurses' ward was super fucking creepy. Have you ever watched the episode on Destination Fear about Norwich State?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, they experienced a lot of creepy shit in the basement of the nurses' ward, and so did I. It was fucking creepy. But believe it or not, the last building we go into, right? It was one of the male wards, and we're walking through the building, and it's a 3-story building, and we start in the basement, first floor, second floor. We get to the 3rd floor, and keep in mind, this is like close to the end now. Like we've seen everything that I've came to see that day. And my friend that I brought with me, Justin, he goes in one of these rooms, and it was like a room, and then there was like cabinets and like drawers and dressers. He's going through these drawers and dressers, like open them, trying to see if there's anything in there. And I'm like, kind of like looking at him, like, "What the heck are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I just, I'm curious. Maybe there's something in here." Da 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 da. And then I get the weirdest feeling to the right of me, and then like, without a joke, I turn and I see a guy that I want to say is about 15, 20 feet in front of me in the hallway. He's a man. He's got short black hair. I want to say he's maybe about 5'9", 5'10". He wasn't wearing. He was wearing kind of like hospital scrubs, like they were blue colored. Um, not like he was medical staff, but he was more so a patient. And what I remember clear as day is he had his fist balled up to his sides, and he had this look in his. He looked like he was kind of fucking pissed off, like he was grilling me. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
Like maybe that was his room, and he didn't like that my friend was going through his stuff. And I did like a one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did like I shook my eyes, and he was gone. He was fucking gone.
Oh fuck.
And that happened. I told my friend. He didn't fucking believe me. And I'm like, dude, I swear on my child. I swear on fucking everything that I saw that. I want to. He's like, oh, okay, okay. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you. And so we ended up, we had like another 5 minutes. We left the facility. I called Joe and told him about it. He thought it was fucking great. Even though I thought I'd shit my pants. He's like, no, that's great. Make sure you mention it in the podcast.
Oh man. I could see that for sure. Like I'm sitting here thinking that I'm gonna die, and you're over here like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Talk about it on the podcast.
It,
Sure,
you,
Joe.
you know what's funny, dude? It happened right fucking before we went to the Conjuring house.
The Conjuring. Oh
It
wow.
literally happened like a week or two before the Conjuring house.
Wow. So
Yep,
this guy looked like 100% solid.
like a dude, just like a
Yeah.
human being right in front of me. He had like a stern look on his
Damn.
face. I would say like late 40s, maybe early 50s, if I was to guess an age. And
Yeah.
he was dressed in blue scrubs, like kind of like a patient. You know what I mean?
Oh shit. Yeah, that's the only thing that I haven't seen as far as paranormal wise is like a solid form. Like I've seen transparent and I've seen silhouettes, but I've never seen 100% solid where I'm like that could have been a person, but the fact that I blinked and they were gone doesn't make any sense kind of thing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I've only seen like I saw a man on a swing set when I was like 9 years
Jesus.
old, 10 years old, and he was completely see-through. So like that's the closest thing that I can say that I saw to what you saw, but to be like to think that this person might have been a real person standing in front of me, I haven't seen that. That's crazy. I would
It,
have cried.
it freaked me the fuck out because, yeah, like I literally, like, whoa, this dude just stumbled up on us and then he disappeared. And I'm like, that wasn't a dude.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fucking wild, man.
I mean, I've had, and Joe knows this too. I've had moments because I hike the Freetown State Forest all the fucking time. It's there, it's easy, it's 15 minutes from my house. I've walked and I've kind of seen shit out of the side of my eye or got like a weird feeling to my peripherals, and I just don't
Mhm.
pay it any fucking attention, dude. I, I just don't want to see it, especially when I'm
Yeah.
alone in the middle of the fucking woods. That's always kind of been my rule. I actually don't feed into it. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you. Have so shit, I had a freaking question while you were talking. God damn it. This freaking happens to me all the goddamn time.
Well,
I was gonna ask you a question based off of what you were just saying, and now I forgot what it was.
give yourself a second.
Oh, have you ever seen a freaking puckwudgie or anything out there in the Freetown Forest?
No, no, I have not.
No?
I've heard weird fucking sounds.
Yeah.
Um, I've
We
definitely seen weird things moving that are not as big as a buck and not as small as like a rabbit or a squirrel, and they're
uh-huh.
just kind of shuffling off in the bushes.
Oh shit.
Did never seen it though.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think the Huckamuck Swamp is a part of the Freetown Forest, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Very creepy spot too.
I was out there once with exploring with Phil. And we had the fuck are they called? The LSD, no, not the LSD. You know the stick figure it picks up stick figures with people, the old Xbox Connects that they put on into a camera form or whatever.
Oh, like AI generation shit.
Kind of
Like you take a
like if
picture and
so
you have like a filter generate something.
No, it's fucking. Why can't I think
Dude,
of
I'm
what
a
it's
fucking
called?
barbarian when it
It's
comes to technology. So,
so you're filming, right? You're recording,
yeah.
and if you're recording a person, it will show them as a stick figure. You know what I mean? Like you can see the green sticks for their body,
Okay.
but you can still see their body.
Yeah.
But then when there's nobody there and there's a stick figure that is supposedly a ghost or something or a spirit of some kind, right?
I would
So
assume.
we were using that kind of freaking camera out in the huckamuck, and we got a bunch of like these like little creatures. There was some of them were like really small, and then some of them were like 3 to 4 feet tall, and then some of them were just like inches tall. And one of them looked like they were doing pole dancing on the ram pod, which was pretty interesting. Um,
That's fucking wacky,
so
dude.
yeah, I anybody I feel like anybody I get from like the New England area, like especially Massachusetts, I feel like I have to ask them if they've seen a Pukwudgie.
No, I haven't. And quite frankly, I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think I would want to either. I mean, I was on another podcast, Cryptid Cocktail. My buddy Dave, he told me all the stuff about the Pukwudgies. He's from New Hampshire, um, too. I living out in Pennsylvania, but he told me like the whole lore of the Pukwudgies and stuff, and I was like, man, I don't want to fuck with a Pukwudgie. I don't ever want to see that shit.
My theory is, bro, don't poke the bear too much. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, exactly, exactly. Do you have any plans coming up for another like an abandoned place that to check out or anything like that?
Yes, I do actually. In fact, this past Saturday, me and my daughter and this guy that is just a nut when it comes to urban exploration. I met him on Instagram. He lives out in like Peabody, Mass. We went to the Walter E. Fernald School for the second time. I don't know if you heard the first episode that we did.
Nope,
Um,
I must have missed that one.
that's all right. We went there for a first time. There's so much to see. There's over 30 abandoned buildings in this complex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, it's not the easiest place to get into, and it's one of these places that my friend who brought us there the first time says we got to get there. It's about an hour and 5 minute ride from where I live. His theory is we got to get there by 8 a.m. and we got to be out of there by 10:30. He's like, because that's when the cops start fucking patrolling. So you only get
Oh,
you
okay.
get because some of these places like Norwich State, you can go there anytime. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit at Norwich State, or that's the vibe I get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
There's other places too, like Mansfield Training Hospital. You don't get the vibe that they really care. But at Fernald, it's definitely a tough one. And we shot up there this Saturday, and we actually went to about, I want to say, 15 buildings. And
Wow.
so yeah, I will be getting into that tomorrow. We're gonna record tomorrow, and that's gonna drop Friday. So it'll be like
Nice.
Walter E. Fernald Part 2.
Dope. I'll have to check out that first one.
The
Um,
first one's a good one
how
because
long a, how long ago was that one?
the first one,
Yeah.
um, Christ, I want to say early October.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
early
Um,
October.
all
My
right. So I don't
daughter
have to
actually,
go
we had a
too far.
she said we had a spirit guide with us the entire time. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Like one of hers or one of yours or?
When we got to the gates at the stone wall before we actually entered into the facility, there was a very tall, from what my daughter said, a very tall and muscular guy. And she even pointed at him. She says, "Do you see him?" And I'm like, "No." And like nobody, like my buddy was with us, and he brought another guy. We couldn't see shit. She's like, "You don't see this guy? He's
Uh-huh.
wicked tall and he's muscular." And okay, and my daughter's like, "His name's Thomas, and he said he's gonna be our spirit guide today." Okay.
Fascinating. That is fascinating.
And she's like, "He knows he's dead. He knows he's dead, but he told her that there's good and bad energies in here, and I want to keep you, the group, safe from the bad
Uh,
energies." And he followed us again the second time.
oh, so
And
he's
the
a
quick
guide for the property.
dude, when I did my research, I found out that there was a kid who was bipolar, and he was
Uh-huh.
6 foot. He was 6 foot. His name was Thomas Bogard. He was 6'5" and 240 pounds, and he had a reputation as an inmate or patient, whatever you want to call it, at the mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He hated when he saw the other orderlies abuse the smaller and weaker inmates, because this was an all boys uh, mental facility for kids with mental disorders, troubled youths, all that stuff. So he got into a shit ton of fights with orderlies all the time, because he would stand up to them when they were bullying the other kids around. So one night, it was something like 8 orderlies grabbed this kid, dragged him into the woods, and physically beat him to death on the property. And they used his
Wow.
nickname from the children that lived there was Tommy Angel. That's the nickname they gave him. So when I was reading that, after my daughter had said she met a spirit guide, a big, hulking, tall, strong boy, it was like, it blew my mind. I was like, that has to be him. This Thomas
Yeah.
Bogard has to be that guy who was the spirit guide while we were at Fernald. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Wow. That is fascinating, man.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
My daughter had never been more active, like with spirits, than when we went to Fernald. It was something about Fernald that they were just like coming to her in droves.
Wow.
It was so
That's
overwhelming. It was so overwhelming, Kev, that the following weekend when I had her, me, her, my friend, Craig from Instagram, and actually Papa Joe. I don't know if he did you listen to the one at Fairfield Hills?
yeah.
We went there, and my daughter like had her headphones on and was listening to music, because I think it was Fernald was too much. It was like a little overwhelming for her. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. It was they were so like
So active.
hey, pay attention to me. I'm over here, over here. Oh, no, I'm over here. No, look at me, kind of thing. Where it's just like, all right, man. Like, I know it's like, because I've talked to like a ton of mediums at this point through the show, and it physically drains them to to
Yep.
talk and to communicate. So I totally get it, man. I don't blame her one bit for wanting to kind of like shut off
She had she
for a little while.
she had to shut it off for when we went to Fairfield Hills,
Yeah,
just because it was too much. She's still
yeah,
she doesn't she'll hike with me. She's not crazy
yeah.
about hiking in the Freetown State Forest, because it's that
So,
same thing where it's too much. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there's a lot of energy in there.
Oh yeah.
too. Obviously, it's a part of the Bridgewater Triangle. It is the Bridgewater Triangle for a reason. Um,
If you Google top 10 most haunted forests in the world, it's in the top 10.
it's in the top 10 out of the
Yes.
world,
In the
even.
world. The entire world.
Wow.
Just Google top 10 most haunted forests in the world. Freetown, Fall River State Forest will come up.
Nice. That's wild. I gotta go out there again sometime.
Come on up,
Um,
brother. I'll fucking me and Joe will show you all the spots.
uh, yeah, we should. Well,
Or come
we
on
should do
down because
something.
you're in Maine, so you'd be coming south.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we should get together and do something. My son likes doing that stuff. I think my daughter is starting she just started getting into horror movies where my son is like he likes doing he wants to do the ghost stuff and he likes going to conventions and stuff like that with me. But he doesn't like horror movies, where my daughter had just started getting into horror movies. So I was like, "You want to go look for ghosts?" She's like, "No." So my son would probably come out. He likes hiking anyway.
Yeah.
So
My
yeah, we
daughter's
should
on
do
a
something.
my daughter's on a horror movie kick right now.
Yeah. What
Oh
is she
yeah.
like right now?
Well, we went and saw Terrifier for the third time this weekend.
Jeepers creepers. I can't even watch it because it's a clown. I've
She,
I've I have childhood trauma with clowns.
dude, most people do. I think clowns are freaky as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably watch it someday, but right
Joe
now,
saw
like the first one came out like 4 years ago, I think, right?
the first one came out in 2016.
Really? Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So
It's been around that long.
so what because I've been following the franchise since it, you know what I mean? It blew up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what happened was this guy Damien Leone, he was an independent filmmaker and he made this movie called All Hallows Eve. It came out in like 2013. And it was a movie about I'll make it short and sweet. A babysitter takes
Yeah.
these two kids out trick-or-treating. They come home, they pour their candy out, and in one of the candy sacks is a VHS tape. So they're like, what the heck? So they take the VHS tape and they put it in the thing, they press play, and it's like some sort of weird, like demonic thing with demons and devilish looking figures. And there's a pregnant woman and she's like tied up and they like cut her stomach open and they're drinking the blood and they pull the baby out. It's fucking wild, right? So the
Uh,
babysitter's like, this is too much. She puts the kids to bed, but she continues to watch the tape, right? And then there's one that's like a slasher, a slasher stalker killer, and then there's another kill. But then the fourth and final killer is Art the Clown, and he has his little 15 minutes of fame in the movie All Hallows Eve. When he dropped that movie, he got bombarded by thousands of people like, yo, that clown at the end of All Hallows Eve was scary as fuck. You have something with that. It's fucking like, so he's like, all right, I got something with this clown. I'm going to make a whole movie on it now. And
yeah.
he made that first Terrifier and he did it with only a $35,000 budget.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
And it blew up. It had a cult like following. He started
It
Terrifier
does.
2. Yeah, he started Terrifier 2 in late 2019, but of course COVID happened, so that
Yeah.
fucking put him behind. And then once COVID was done, he was able to fucking get Terrifier 2 done, which only cost him $250,000 to make. And he released that in October of 2022, and that blew. I think it got like 20 million in the box office. So he's like, all right, I've struck gold now. So he just made Terrifier 3 that came out like a month ago, and I think it was the #1 movie in America for like 2 weeks in a row. And he only made that
Wow.
one with a $2 million budget.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy. There's a lot of freaking hot chicks that like that movie too, so maybe I should watch it.
dude, I'm telling, it's not so much scary. I would just say, it's gory as fuck. That's kind of why people love it. The gore is
Yeah.
crazy. It's no CGI. It's all old school, like
That's that kind of horror I like the no CGI, like
yeah,
let's make it out of frickin' rubber, clay, and
rubber,
latex and shit like that.
latex, shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Um, but Rob, I'm gonna have to have you come back because I know you have a ton more stories that we can dig into.
Yeah,
So
anytime,
we'll
brother.
have to schedule another one, and we definitely all should get together again soon.
Absolutely. Like I said,
But
man, anytime you want to shoot down here, and we could show you around the Freetown State Forest. Have a good time, man.
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Um, yeah, I'd love to do that. It'd be I love being outside. I love being in nature. So let's add some ghosts to it too. That'd be great.
I mean,
Although I do get scared easily when it comes to that kind of stuff.
you and me, brother, right?
But if you don't mind, Rob, one more time, letting the good people know where they can find you and where they can find the show.
Okay, so if you just go to Tales, Trails, and Taverns on Instagram, that's Joe's following. He's killing it. He's got like 20 something thousand followers. Um, he puts out great shit all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, on Instagram, I'm Salty Hiker, dot Tales, Trails, and Taverns. I put a lot of my urban exploration videos and a bunch of shit out on that. So that's where Instagram is where I stay. Joe does the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all Tales, Trails, and Taverns. Um, and then as far as the podcast, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's totally free. Um, listen to as many episodes as you want. We always drop one every Friday at 3 o'clock in the morning, a new one. And yeah, I mean, saddle up, listen to a couple podcasts, leave us a review, and we this is why we do it. We do it to not only entertain ourselves, but hopefully entertain other people like yourself, Kevin, that are paranormal enthusiasts, you know?
Yeah, I enjoy it. You guys do a really good job.
Thank
I
you.
actually put you guys on my website for the month of October as the podcast of the month. So,
Damn.
um, yeah, so hopefully you got
Thanks, Kev.
some
And,
listeners out of
and
that because I get good traffic on the website just because of the hot sauce and stuff like that.
dude, I saw this
So.
shit the other day with the creatine too.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that. I literally just got my first bucket of protein and then I want to try the creatine which um you know, as long as it doesn't give me any bad vibes, I gotta check I mean they show me the label before I get it, but I just want to make sure when I get it it's still the same thing that they're advertising,
Yeah.
you know. So, and then there's going to be like nootropics. There's going to be like sea moss and why am I drawing? Collagen. I got pre-workouts, and then they have break chain amino acids, which I'm not going to use because of the dyes. So I've already let them know that I'm not using those because I want when it comes to supplements, I want it as clean as if possibly can get it, like without fillers and dyes and all that crap, you know?
Yeah. No, that's dude. And not only that, man, like I tip my hat to you, dude. You go to so many conventions, dude. I don't know where you get the time, bro.
Honestly, I have no idea.
How do you do it?
I don't know. I don't know. I just go, hey, I'm leaving this weekend, and then my boss is like, okay, I'll put you down for some time. Okay, cool. And then I'm gone. And that's it. So I do have to start flying though. I need to start flying because driving is starting to kick my ass. And I was gonna go to Kentucky, not
Damn.
this weekend, but next weekend. But my son's birthday is Monday the 25th, which is like that weekend of the event, and I was like,
Isn't that
I'd rather just
Crypticon?
yeah, CryptidCon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? If so you're not going to be going to that one?
No, I was gonna go, but I'm decided not to just because of the drive.
Yeah, that's a drive, dude. Me and
Yeah,
Joe
it is a drive.
contemplated going to it just because like Waverly Hills Asylum is like an hour from there.
Yeah, yes.
That's an infamous
I
one.
want, yeah, I wanna, I do plan on going next year because so many people that I know go there, and it would be my like chance to actually meet everybody in person. And I know Rachel from Like Mother Like Murder podcast. I don't know if you're
I've
familiar with them at
I've
all.
heard them. Yep.
Yeah. So she actually lives right in Lexington, and that was one of the things I was looking forward to because she's like one of my favorite people. She's like a hype. She's like a one of the David down the rabbit hole types of people where she just like hypes you up all the time. She's just one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So I really wanted to meet her, but I'm just gonna have to wait until next year because they do it every year in November,
Yeah.
CryptidCon. So, but I do want I would love to go to Waverly. I would love to do that
I mean,
too. And
when me and Joe went to Paracon, we made a pit stop in Centralia.
yeah,
Yeah, I
did
mean,
you?
it
How
was
was
like,
that?
you know, it was it was weird. It was in the middle of nowhere. Um, there's only like two buildings left in the entire town. The spray painted highway, it was kind of
Yeah.
sad because they covered it with dirt mounds. You can still walk it,
Oh, yeah.
but they covered it with dirt mounds. I heard during COVID. That's what Joe told me. But I will say this, the entire time, because me and Joe walked around for about an hour, you could smell the burning coal. Like
Oh
every
shit.
couple of seconds, you'd get a whiff of that, the soot and the burning coal. So that's what was the creepiest about it. Like that fire is still roaring under there. You know what I mean?
That's oh man, that's creepy.
And
Um,
we
but
do want to go back to Paracon, and I think the second time we're gonna hit up Gettysburg because that's one I've never.
yes. So I want to go to Paracon this year as well. I told myself that I was gonna try and keep the events this year to a minimum, but I don't know if if I really want to. I keep saying that I want to. My girlfriend's like, just do them. She's like, you like doing them, so you should keep doing them. And I was like, but because I just had a baby,
Oh Jesus!
so
Congratulations.
thank you. She's 6 months, so I literally I had just had her right before we did The Conjuring.
No
She
kidding.
was born right before that. So
Congratulations, brother. So what is that?
thanks,
Three for you?
buddy. Yeah, it's my third. Hopefully the last. But, I don't believe in getting snipped, so
Hey,
there might
enjoy it,
end
man.
up being a fourth.
You never know, right?
You never know. I leave it up to fate, you know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but for everybody listening, that is today's show. Please check out Rob on Instagram, the Salty Hiker. Tales, Trails, and if I can fucking speak, Tales, Trails, and Taverns. And you can also check out that podcast. It's amazing. I love listening to it.
Thank
I
you.
have some catching up to do, obviously. But if you like today's show, please like, follow, share, subscribe if you feel like doing so, that is. Please leave a rating and review if you also feel like doing that. If your catcher doesn't allow you to leave a review, please leave one on the website where the weird ones are podcast.com. That's where you can get some coffee, you can get some merch, you can get the hot sauce.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys for watching. Rob, man, I appreciate you coming on tonight and spending an hour or so with me.
Yeah.
It means a lot. I appreciate you, brother.
It was a thank you. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I mean, just thanks, dude. Really, it's so cool, you know. Thank you for giving us that rating in October. That's pretty fucking dope. And
Not a problem.
yeah, man, I'm just full of gratitude. Thank you.
Also, everybody, both Joe and Rob served in our nation's military. Veterans Day was just this Monday. I know this episode's going to be out maybe 2 weeks from Veterans Day, but still, thank you for your service, Rob.
Oh,
And
thanks, brother.
make sure you guys check them out because they're worth a listen, I promise. So, other than that, you guys know the drill. Stay weird. Oh, I said that backwards. I apologize. So I don't even know the drill. So question everything and stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky. When the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day, make a wish.